What is up, everybody? It's been a while since you've seen one of these, haven't you? So, for those who don't remember what this was, Behind the Wings was essentially looking at the older content that I made, and I look back on it and seeing what my intentions were and seeing how much they have aged. And at some point, I decided to discontinue it because I had this gut feeling that people didn't like it. But at other times, this was something that I wanted to do of my very own, and I just felt embarrassed looking back at it, especially when looking at one of my previous ones where I had trouble working with the lighting. But luckily, with some lighting materials such as a light stand and some other stuff to work with and a couple of online videos, I was real excited to get back into doing one of these again. With that being said, I think it would be the most appropriate that I look back on what I used to do way a long time ago when I was first new with making content. Before I made My Little Pony reviews, before I made movie reviews and other kinds of stuff that I can't think of at the top of my head, I used to do Flash movies. Now, what is Flash? What is a Flash movie? Basically, Flash, or Macromedia Flash is what they called it back then. It was a type of medium that was on browsers. It would mostly be used for web design, but people used it to create what were called Flash movies. And Flash movies were made in a variety of ways, and it was mostly held, it was most popularly used on a website called Newgrounds.com. It was YouTube before YouTube in some ways, but it was more animation driven. There were a lot of animated projects back and forth, new stuff was uploaded every day, and there were so many different styles that I can't even count at the top of my head. It was a really big community and a really big hub for a lot of this stuff, and one of the things that I was involved in were sprite animations, which was basically taking video game characters and making spoofs and parodies off of them. There were actually a lot more common compared to everything else because not only was it easy, but it was also exciting because you're using characters that you're already familiar with and making, well, humor off of them. And this was me delivering my own spin on it, and I'm going to be looking back at a lot of these things. So now, considering that Flash has been discontinued at the start of this year, I thought it would be appropriate to look back on these things since it's going to be a permanent thing of the past. And I used it to my opportunity to look back at what these Flashes are before it was too late. So with that all being said, strap yourselves in, and I hope you're ready to cringe with me. Alright, so here's the first Flash that I made, Mario's Special Transformation. So the plot of this one is basically Mario runs into an ambush and he combines his power-ups, and this was an idea that was first in my head and wanted to make this work. And as you can look at the screen here, there's a number of problems. First of which, where you see the text that says Special Transformation, the S is like blending in with the two apples right there. There's a couple of red blocks right there, and this is mainly because red was my favorite color. And one of the things that I would learn over the years is that just because, you know, you have certain favorite colors, that doesn't mean you automatically work with them. Orange became an ongoing theme despite red being my favorite color, so I just stuck with that. But this was definitely a huge learning curve here. Now, as this video was out, this project, it actually got me a pretty good score, and universally, a lot of people liked it. The only major criticism I heard is that it was too short, and that's understandable. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you want to see the video itself, and I'm probably holding off for too long, and you know what? I don't blame you. So, before I dive in, I want to point out this, there's going to be some muting involved in what's being presented here, because there is copywritten music in here. And this is my advice to anybody who wants to get into content creating: do not use copywritten music. I've already talked about this in one of my previous videos. I don't know if everybody watched that, but in case they don't, this would be a good time for you to understand it here. And I don't know if this will be the last time I'll talk about that, but it is extremely important when it comes to content creating. So let's go ahead and dive right in. As we all know, power-ups in Mario games were very useful to us, but some of us might think, I wonder if we can combine these power-ups for special needs. Well, we're about to find out and see what happens. Although Mario's not going to look like what you think he's going to look like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a pin on that because in the making of this, there were a couple of alternatives and I was running out of patience to work with. And let's just continue. Mario start. Got this cool little player here. Jesus Christ. So already the background is not animated. That's funny as shit. As you can tell, the characters are still moving. This was part of a feature out of 3 animated components called movie clips, graphics, and buttons. And just by saying those 3, anybody who has not been experienced in working with Adobe Flash or Adobe Animate, basically just the movie clip, it animates on its own even when it's paused. I really like having these cool little features here. And this is one of the cool things that I like about Flash, is that you can pause and do so many things. You can also right click, and it's got this little menu here. And yeah, I'm kind of holding off for too long, but there's a lot to cover here. Okay, so it does a ground pound on that Koopa. He kicks that piranha plant out. I would wish I could do that. All right, so at this point, you should be hearing Burly Brawl, which is one of the soundtracks of The Matrix Reloaded. It was one of the most popular tracks out there, but again, copyright. So Mario's making his power-up. He's getting his... All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause right here. I'm going to go back a few frames. That's what these things up here do. I hope you guys don't mind the coin sound effects. It's probably going to be really obnoxious. Anyways, this is a different Mario sprite design that I did at the last minute, and this because originally I wanted to create one where Mario has both the fire flower and the cape, but I didn't have the patience or the time to work with it. I was still new with making sprites, and I just decided, let's just work with a different design, and this would be a more upgraded design that would be used for, I think it was Mario and Luigi Super Saga. Feel free to correct me if that's not the correct sprite reference right there. But I worked with that, and I thought it would be a funny little joke of, haha, he's in a more advanced design of a sprite character. So, as this is also being played out, I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button. This is supposed to be Still Waiting by Sum 41. And again, copyrighted music. So there's build-up involved. Completely wipes out all the enemies here. None of the characters are doing shit. And it throws a giant fireball and finishes off those flying, I think those are Goombas? They kind of look like Goombas. The designs in Super Mario World were different. So that's the end of that. And there goes a credits roll. And during the credits roll, you would be hearing, what was it? Linkin Park's Runaway, which is, again, another band at the time that was relevantly popular. And yeah, there's a whole listing right here. I've crossed all that out. And again, don't use copyrighted music. I'm sorry that I've beaten it over the head. It just seems like I'm just like... I would just want to make that clear, because copyrighted music is never... it's never a good idea. So anyway, that was Mario's Special Transformation, and yeah, it doesn't hold up too well. There's a number of problems with it, but it actually got me set off the ground. Like, people really liked it. They appreciated the concept. I think that's why people really liked it. You know, the idea of combining power-ups and having a bigger advantage over everything. But also, let's be real here. Looking back at Super Mario World, using the cape is extremely overpowering. And just that alone, like, imagine using that with the fire flower and you would be an unstoppable force of nature. That would be funny as hell. As is, I could have done a much better job with this. But at the time, this was me working with any trial and error involved. This took me about 3 months to make, and it definitely paid off at the time. All right, so this was my second Flash, and this one was by comparison the worst out of, it's not even worse than the first Flash that I made. This was the worst that I made in everything. This was done in about a week. So Sobémon is a combination of just the word Pokemon along with the word Sobe. And Sobe, or Sabi, I forget how to pronounce it at times, was a drink product. And for whatever reason, a lot of sprite animators had this fad or this ongoing thing where people would just make a Sabi ad using whatever video game materials that they use their imagination of. And in this one, I decided to use Pokemon because Pokemon wasn't used nearly as often as other games were. It was mostly like Sonic or just a few other games in which I can't name off at the top of my head. This would also be the first to introduce what I would call GoldenFox Studios, which this channel now is called GoldenFox Pictures. And the name GoldenFox would eventually just become a name to me over the entire course of just making content. Let's go ahead and watch this. Let's dive right in and see how cringeworthy it is. Pokeball sound. To be high, body to be fit. God. Yeah, that was always a thing. Good God, that moved really fast.
Go up to the mountain. Maybe the
Go to the
voice is
mountain.
telling you that you should hop on your mountain bike so your legs get strong. Because to bike in the mountain,
This is like bare minimum of just making anything.
then it is easy. It is like a walk in the park with a little dog.
And this shot right here, I was so heavily criticized for. All it is just the character just moving up and down. And again, this is just, God, dude, this was embarrassing. And the text right here, this is hard to read here. It's white, it blends a little too much. Yeah, no, this was absolute garbage. Easter egg hints, yeah, that's right. Easter egg hints. One, look at the, there are many signs in Mauville City, look carefully. So Mauville City was the city in the first portion of the ad. Something's wrong with the mountain. What is it? The sign explains it all. 3, more signs to look at the end. Look carefully. Easter egg lol. Okay, so this was a cool little feature that would be utilized just for jokes. Okay, so I'm zooming in as much as I can. Oh, good God. If you're reading this, then you're gay. Wow. That joke has not aged very well. Jesus. So I'm going to go ahead and replay this, and we're going to explore these different signs so that way they won't be forgotten, and this is just something to look back at. All right, so there's how many signs? There's 3 here. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this one. Suck my ball, bitch. Suck my ball, bitch? Good God. I was so immature. Jesus. Sorry, but the Pokemon Center is closed, so if your Pokemon are hurt, then you're fucked. I find it hilarious that I put a little apostrophe on the Pokemon text right there, and that's mainly because every time I saw the Pokemon sign, I didn't really understand the little apostrophe hovering above the E, only to find out that's a different kind of character in order to play it out. So most people just put down Pokemon with just a regular E. Okay, so rare candy contains steroids. Do not buy. Yeah, no, okay, so rare candy, for those who haven't played Pokemon, it was an item that was used to just level up the character. All right, so here we are at the mountain shot. Let's see what we got here. Warning, rock slide at the top, do not enter. And just the very fact that Brandon, who is the name of the trainer you have, he's gonna go all the way up and he's gonna get his ass kicked. Let's see if I can find anything else. Okay. What the fuck? The author never resized Pikachu. Yeah, I kind of resized that because seeing in the same size as Brandon was a little disorienting. So I went and I shrunk it down, but a lot of people took issue with that because it's supposed to match what the game was supposed to present it as. So either way, this was absolute garbage, but I got much better afterwards. Alright, so this one was a contest entry from a website that I used to be a big fan of called Video Game Director's Cuts, or what is short abbreviated Video Game DC. The holder of the site, Randy Solom, may the man rest, he passed away in 2012 of some kind of heart problem with his medication. He used to make a lot of contests with people who would show off their side so that way they can get some spotlight and attention and see how far they can go. And this was my opportunity to understand more on how these different Flash projects were made. And in this particular case, I went with Yoshi's Island based off of Yoshi's Island 3. And upon doing that, I decided to put together my own spin on the latest Yoshi's Island entry that he had, and this was based on Act 3. So let's go ahead and hit play. This is the GameCube intro. Video Game Director's Cuts, relive your pixel past. Yeah, this was very exciting for me to work with material of someone else's work and seeing how they were all made. Oh God, that is a nuclear set of colors. Jesus. Yeah, this was, oh my God, that's really hard on the eyes. Jesus. Yikes. Like I said, this is cringe, man. This is fucking cringe. based on characters created by Nintendo. So yeah, it's a strip club, and you got all these Yoshis who are smoking cigarettes. This dude went for a lot of adult humor, and holy fucking shit, man. This was quite something. Yoshi's Island, the battle for the one. God, that's a dumb name. So there's going to be a little recap here. About a day or two ago, the green Yoshi managed to win the bet to get the pink Yoshi chick from the yellow Yoshi in the strip club. Damn, that's a syntax error. However, the green Yoshi never got laid. I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. However, the green Yoshi never got laid yet from pink, and as he still waits, a battle will rise between him and yellow as he seeks revenge to see who will win her. And there's the yellow Yoshi, and he's got his fucking cigarette. And so the battle begins. Wow, I got Porky Pig tongue right there. It's a lot of panning shots and trying to get this like dimensional sort of feel to it. There goes that Yoshi. He gets hit by the yellow one, yeah. Hey, bitch! He's like, what's your fucking problem? The pink Yoshi. What about her? She belongs to me over my dead body. And so be it with my pleasure. God, my grammar was horrible. Okay, so this part is muted. You originally would be hearing, I think it's called Elements of Trance. It was used in a game called Midnight Club Racing. It was a favorite track that my brother and I used to enjoy listening to. Yeah, this is when I was taking on making custom sprites. I'm going to enjoy this, as he sits there on that tree. This was so stupid. Had enough. Ha, I'm just getting started. The fight is barely even going on for a while. So here we go. Here I go padding all this shit out and creating these like different effects or like transparent effects to show how long they've been fighting for. And they create this one long jump here. God. Wow, this did not hold up well. Hard to tell who the winner is. Really? That was faster than I thought. Yeah, this was a really short-lived fight. I'm not good with that stuff. And he apparently loses to the blue one. So yeah, apparently the pink chick likes... I'm going to go ahead and pause here. So, okay, so this is also within a couple of frames here. Yeah, so with this pink one chose the blue one because he was smoking a cigarette, even though the yellow one was also smoking a cigarette. What kind of logical sense was I making there? Basically, it's just two people fighting for a woman and she chose like a third option. So that's kind of how I was ending this one. And some people kind of liked it. Fine, then screw that bitch. God, this is so juvenile. Jesus. So this was, this one taught me a lot more as I was working with existing material, and I've learned a lot. Alright, so here we go with the fourth one, and this was months afterwards, and after learning so much, I put together a somewhat better looking Flash than I did before. Things are not as stretchy, things are not as deformed or any of that kind of bullshit. So OMG Super Mario Bros. Mishaps, or Brothers Mishaps, they could pick there. This was one of the most popular projects that I put together on Newgrounds, despite how completely unoriginal it was. So let's go ahead and get this started. GoldenFox Studios presents. So again, this is once again, this is just putting together your own menu and just having fun with your own imagination. So there's play movie and there's also scene select. Now this one I did was based off of, yeah, this was based off of Super Mario All-Stars, which was a 16-bit makeover on a lot of these older games that you would get to replay with the 16-bit redo. So there's like 8 scenes to select, and each of them are fairly small. So let's go ahead and go back here. Play movie. Watch your step. This would be the name of the skits. So here I go reenacting another one of these gameplays, and it looks a little, it doesn't look too accurate, but this was just the first skit and I had no idea what to do, so I just had Mario just like completely fall off of the face of the earth. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause here, and yeah, this is the most toilet humor juvenile garbage you can imagine. So this was kind of a callback to one of Randy Solom's earlier projects that were just like barely, they were like 30 seconds or 15 seconds long. This was back in like the year 2000. I was making a reference to that as Mario went into the pipe and he would come out covered in complete and utter sewage. So I wanted to make a callback to that, and I got chastised saying this is just too juvenile, but there's nothing much else that can be done there. It was really dumb. Plant attack. So watch and see what happens here. So the plant goes down, Mario goes in. He gets eaten by the red piranha plant. So as before, I always liked using anything with red at the time. And in the lost levels, these piranha plants act a shit ton more aggressive. So this was actually a joke that I actually underestimated and didn't think too much. Like almost nobody mentioned this until now. And I guess I'm taking this into a little bit of a pride. Let's continue. Flagpole crisis. Oh boy, this would be the most commonly used trope in all of the Mario mishaps, where he goes to jump the flagpole and he misses. Oh shit, kabam. He completely flies off the screen and stuff flies everywhere. He misses the flag and he slides off. He finally gets it. And it completely crushes the small little castle that Mario just entered. The hidden block. This was a somewhat original skit that people actually credited. Looks like a piece of cake. It's a little gap right here. And then, god damn it. I should have moved that block a little more to the other side right there. Hammer Bro battle. Oh yes, Hammer Brothers were always a pain in the ass. Here he comes. Throws his hammer right there. Okay, so at this point, you're going to hear a complete mute track right there because I'm using POD's Alive. Yeah, again, working with copywritten music. Never ever use copywritten music. Later, bitch! He gets pooned right there. Mario gets hit in the nuts, and there's a second one. That's for killing my brother, asshole. Yeah, there's always two characters, two Hammer Brothers. Mario versus Bowser. There was always a Mario versus Bowser in any Flash. So again, this was just unoriginal. Working with the dodging one of the fire breaths that are firing underway. I just noticed the background was a little crooked, or not properly aligned, going one frame back and forth. So he goes to fight Bowser, and then we interrupt this program due to technical difficulties. What the fuck? This sucks. The little text at the bottom. LOL. Get back to the program. Okay, so I'm going to pause it right here. So something that I did that I don't think a lot of animators worked with, or I could be wrong. When it comes to animating the falling of the bridge, not many people have used it that often. I wanted to put that to use. Again, this was me taking on just, you know, visual aspects instead of looking for something original in my content. But this was something that I had to use an emulator and try to get every single shot just to make sure that I would be able to animate the bridge falling down before Bowser falls over. And it's a cool little thing that I was glad to add. So let's go ahead and continue. Mario reaches Peach. Peach reaches back to Mario. Da 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 da. Thank you, Mario. Mushroom Kingdom is now safe. And now you deserve a reward. And before he realizes it, the cage falls in the lava pit. Okay, so the some of you may remember that sound. If you don't, this was used for what was it? There was an animator named Sebastian Lopez, and he used it a lot. And he kind of made it. He actually put that together, and I asked his permission on it. And I was glad that I did, because it's funny. So yeah, this hasn't held up too well, but much to my surprise, when working on this and I was showing this to my own friends, they said, dude, finish this. I want to see more of it. These were all the sources that I used: Fine Sounds, Flash Kid, VG Sounds, Macromedia Flash A. They used to be called Macromedia Flash at the time before they got owned by Adobe. God, looking at all these names. Daniel's son, he made some badass sprite projects like Power Star. Sebastian Lopez, like I mentioned before, he made his own bloopers and he had his own juvenile humor involved. Monko9, he was one of the most common people I would always come back to talk to. I think he kind of went away to aim to be a doctor. I could be wrong. Also, once again, yes, the background music is muted because it's copyrighted music. This would later gain a sequel, which I'll go to in a bit. But for now, let's go to the 5th project and see what happens there. Alright, so here was the 5th Flash that I made, and funny enough, this was made in about a day. And surprisingly, like compared to Sobémon, I was very happy with what kind of skills that I developed at that time. We'll see for ourselves. That was me trying to make a new logo intro. So obviously this is this was based off of the original Mario Brothers. Thank you, Mario, for saving me. Mushroom Kingdom is now safe. However, there's one little problem. Okay, yeah, so this was a huge backfire when a lot of people loved that. I waited too long, and someone came already. Someone who understood me. Your brother Luigi. Yeah, this was just something I made out of complete boredom. Come on, Peach, let's go. And once again, this is where the music mutes. The track that was used here was Untitled by Simple Plan, and this was used very, very often for a joke of what is essentially a sad moment, and this was my own attempt at it. Then make this all so dramatic. Mario sat there that day thinking about Peach and how bad she hurt him. From that day forth, Mario learned a lesson. Nothing.
Whoa.
Stupid. Yeah, that flash of text said stupid ending. When I look back at this, there's nothing Mario learned. Peach was a bitch. You know, she's upset that he came on time. I mean, if Luigi already came first, then why was she waiting there? Just to be a bitch? What do you think about it? That's nothing for Mario to learn. He didn't know any of this. A good number of people actually kind of liked this and thought it was a funny little skit. So after the success of OMG SMB Mishaps, I decided to make a sequel. Now, originally I wanted to do one based off of actually Super Mario Bros. 2 and then follow up with the next installment. However, I stumbled upon some computer crash and I lost all the data. Not to mention, I didn't want to rework with all the stuff that I did before, and I just thought, you know what, let's just continue the first one because more ideas were popping in my head. Most notably based off of Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, and the mechanics behind there that were just fucking ridiculous. So, upon doing this, I was giving it my all at that time, and so much so that it took me a longer time than the first one, and that's because I was more focused on the visuals. Some of the gags were pretty much the same kind of thing. There were gags that were done before. There are some other gags that I was kind of trying to be inventive with, but despite all that, let's go ahead and just play this one. GoldenFox Studios presents. So I was able to work with more of the visuals than before. Start movie and there's scene select. So once again, this is the same kind of feature that's very reminiscent of Super Mario All-Stars. Let's go ahead and start playing it. Poison mushroom. Basically, the mushroom was really bad. That's really what it all comes down to. He's like, oh god, the poison mushroom is there, and yeah, this was the first skit, and it didn't really do much. You know, it's the same kind of effect that happened back in the first one that I did. Alright, so Mario's going on about his time. He grabs a mushroom, he jumps on a tree, and he found... Okay, so I want to pause it here for just a second. The difference between this, let's go and play it for a second. Okay, so the joke that I'm making here is the difference between those two is that the green ones send you extremely high in the air, and this is another one of those mechanics that happen in the Lost Levels. Basically, it's just playing a big gag of holy shit, Mario got flown so high into the air. I mean, this fat plumber can go so high. That's how strong the green ones were. Yeah, that poor Koopa didn't see it coming. He's like, oh shit. Fish Storm. Okay, so this is just a gag based off of one of those stages where all the cheeps are just flying all over the place. So as I'm starting to remember this more, basically I was trying to like just create reactionary moments that were just based off of the mechanics of the stages themselves, and I think that's what I was hoping that this would be original at the time. And that was when I put the hidden block joke to a better use. Like, ooh, there's a flag pole right there. Then completely screws up. And of course, yet another flagpole crisis. He grabs it. He misses it. He falls. Take two. He flies off. Okay, third take. He overshoots it. Okay. So he finally gets it, and he's cool with it. And then when he realizes it, it falls over because of Luigi. That's him just being a dick. I don't know what was it that made me write Luigi as a complete dickhole. And here comes Lakitu. Okay, so this joke here, this was my own attempt to try to end it all, and he got hit with more of those things. Okay, in the actual game, that would never work, but here... So the joke here was, in the original Mario Brothers, if you got hit and you were small Mario while the Firefly was around, no matter what, you would go back to just being regular Big Mario. That was the mechanic that I was making a joke at here. So again, this was me focusing more on the mechanics of the game. And a little cut-up joke right there. So that's what that all turned into. Okay, this one I was very proud of. Trying to work with a background of... This was an ambitious take because not many people worked with underwater scenarios. He sees the blooper chasing him. The bloopers were a pain in the dick. They would always follow you. He's like, oh god, get the fuck away from me. And then he gets sucked into one of the pits. So in the original Mario games, you would always get magneted towards the pit. I don't know why. I'm guessing there's some kind of current thing going on. I don't know. So here's another one of those castle bloopers, and yeah, the fireballs were a pain in the ass. They would appear when you least expect it. He goes through a row. Apparently this turned out to be what people call the puzzle castles. You have to get the correct column in order to proceed on. Mario creating all those freaking flips and everything. Using so many of the freaking Mario voices every time he would go to, what was it? Like every time he would jump. This one I wanted to create a little cool fight scene to add a bit of a different spin instead of just playing up, oh, technical difficulties and such. And here comes this one. Sorry, Mario, but Luigi has already saved the princess. So, basically this is kind of a rehash of what SMB and Unhappy Ending did. Now, once again, you're going to hear the censoring of the music because, again, copyrighted music. Yeah, so this one was a different way of presenting everything. I was working with a little bit of frame by frame, and this was me working more on a visual spectacle while trying to provide somewhat of an inventive way of making humor. It's a bit of a hit and miss, but I was pretty proud of this one, looking back at it. I could have done a better job trying to put together all these jokes. Whenever I would try to put together any original joke, it was difficult at the time, but I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But I was pretty happy with this one. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the 7th Flash project. Alright, so this one was something that I wanted to make for a very long time, and as a result, this is probably one of the most favored projects that at the time people really liked. Like unanimously, when I uploaded this on a different website before it went up on Newgrounds, everybody loved it because they can relate to this so much. So basically, Wild Pokemon Encounter is about the annoyance of wild Pokemon just jumping out all the time. It wouldn't be until much later on that I would learn how to deal with these obnoxious, like, random Pokemon appearing. And as you can tell on the screen, that's Zubat in the background. And yeah, the level number it's going to be incorrect. So I wanted to use the sprites based off of Ruby and Sapphire because they looked fresh, and I wanted to work with that one. Here comes Zubat. A wild Zubat appeared. Bah, another Zubat. I don't have time for this. So Brendan, he just goes on with his day, and just by one step, another one appears. This is how much Wild Pokemon Encounters always drove me crazy. You're starting to piss me off, Zubat. Go away and leave me alone. And the rule of 3. Zubat appears again. Okay, Zubat, you asked for it. I choose you, Gare, and in comes Psyduck. God damn it, Psyduck, get your ass bent in the Pokeball, you stupid fuck. Lol. Shut up! And I used the Comic Sans for that. Zubat at level 12. Gyarados Hyper Beam, and he misses. So, level 25 Gyarados. Yeah, no, the leveling, it's off. Zubat used Tackle. A critical hit. Yeah, no, there was a lot of vulgar language in this one. So he tells Gyarados to do Hyper Beam again, and then Dragon Ball Z sound effects. Oh, yeah, I know, just the magic pixel, that's what that turned out to be. Now, this was a mechanic in the 3rd generation that Pokemon can also obtain berries and then recover health, and this was just in a dramatic way. And then just grab an M16 and just blow him away. This one, legitimately, I was proud of. I was happy with that. When I get to a nearby city, I'm fucking buying Super Repel and Hyper Potions. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, no, legitimately, I was proud of that one. I was really happy with how this was all laid out and executed. And, man, I could see why a lot of people really liked it at the time. I was very happy with it. So, this eventually went up on Newgrounds, and almost like nobody hated it. I think this was probably like the most favored one that I ever did. It was an idea that I wanted to work with for a while. You know, I think this was more of Mario's special transformation done right. We're just about ready to get to the very final project that I did. So let's not stall it around any longer. Alright, so here it is. This was the last Flash project that I made, and this was probably one of my other best works. Now, I did make a remastered version, but that's not the one we're going to be looking at. Let's go ahead and watch. Yes, this logo opening. This would actually be the logo opening to the Flash content on my YouTube channel. And, apparently that was only the last time. Eventually I started to create my very own logo, and I'm still pretty proud of that. So Sonic the Unstoppable, either play or credits. Let's go ahead and just play it. Here's Green Hill Zone. Just going through the entire area. This was fun to work with. I can tell that the, if I could just rewind it for just a bit. Okay, so if you actually look carefully at the little sparkles of whenever Sonic goes to get a ring, yeah, they were kind of blurry. I kind of wanted to do that to work with the flashing effects of the sparkling itself, because the sparkliness is not really as sharp, and yeah, that idea hasn't aged too well. So let's go ahead and continue. So he's just going on about his day. He's collecting rings, he's going through the entire place, and then finally he stumbles upon Eggman. And it's just the same setup as the original Genesis game was. And yeah, this was the first time I started to include some voice acting, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. So this was the first time that, this was the first time I did that. So the voice of Eggman was done by DMAC, and Sonic was voiced by somebody else who was also a sprite animator, and he seemed more appropriate for the role. His name was Yoshi 1-Up, and he was one of the best sprite animators I ever looked at. He was very humorous. He knew how to time everything right. I definitely recommend you check him out. I think he has a YouTube channel, and he's done a lot of things expandable with video game culture. Obviously, I don't think he's as big as like other channels are, but he's somebody I would like to look back to. So definitely check him out. I may find his channel and link it in the description if push comes to shove. So yeah, let's go ahead and continue.
Whoa. Like I said, Sonic.
For the last time.
Prepare to die.
Prepare to die. Okay, so while the acting is questionable, I will admit that the dialogue was very, very cliche. I'm not gonna, fault those two for that. So obviously we have a little fight going on here, and this is because it's Sonic, and Sonic has got to be cool, that term that is overly used. So he just unleashed the saw that just fell off, and it just kills, it just defeats him by destroying his ship. But it doesn't kill him. He gets all burned. I'll get you next time.
I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm unstoppable.
So he gets all cocky and everything. And here comes the punchline. Kaboom. And in case you're wondering, yes, that is actually the sound effect that I sampled off of Terminator 2 Judgment Day after the T-800 saves John Connor from the T-1000 when the truck explodes. And there's a mushroom cloud in the background.
Now that's what I call a sonic boom.
Now that was also that was Yoshi 1-Up also voicing Knuckles. Yeah, this one I was very proud of this one along with Wild Pokemon Encounter. God, the frame rate is really bad. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. But this one I could see why I kind of redid this. And I'm going to go ahead and just... yeah, I'm going to go back to the title screen. So yeah, Sonic the Unstoppable. This one seemed to have aged a little better. Or at least I think it did. The first couple of flashes, as you can tell, they were very embarrassing to look at. But... this is one of the few occasions where I felt motivated into getting back into making more of this stuff and having fun with it. Now, obviously this kind of stuff is predated, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and close this. So that was pretty much all of the sprite flashes that I made. I made a total of 8, didn't work with anything since then, but every now and then there were some thoughts about going back into making these just for fun. Unfortunately, it's kind of difficult for me to say because sprites have become a very, not necessarily dated, but they're not very relevant. There are some existing channels on YouTube that do these things. There was obviously Dorklet.com. There's also a few other channels that are known in their own ways, and they were actually much more fun to watch instead of just using repetitive jokes over and over, such as Level Up, which had even Metroid, which of all things, I was pretty happy to see that channel work with that. One called The Pixel Kingdom, and I may be missing a few other channels around, but yeah, there are some other YouTube channels out there that still do some sprite flashes for the fun of it, and they've gained their own following. Their channels have grown really, really big, and I'm happy for them. But as far as looking at these flashes, you probably won't be able to watch them on Newgrounds. In fact, some of them got taken down due to copyright. The first flash got taken down. I think the third one is still up. I could be wrong, but either or, on Newgrounds, Newgrounds that is, but you will be able to have access to all these flashes that are on my YouTube. I have a playlist. Some of them have been muted. For the most part, it's nice to look back at these. And even though I went through a lot of trial and error in the first couple and then just working my way through, it definitely was a motivation to get myself forward into producing other content afterwards. After Sonic the Unstoppable, I would eventually start to do movie reviews and then stumble upon MLP reviews. That latest one was back in 2008, which in hindsight was about 13 years ago now. Yeah, a lot of time has gone by. God, I feel so old. Thank you for sticking around, and until next time, this is GoldenFox, and I'll see you next time.